Welcome to On the Sidelines. John Luck, Brad McKinnon, Dominic Damiano. As we continue our look at the NBA Finals, I think the Celtics are still a basketball team. I haven't seen them play in like a week and a half.
Oh, they are. They're getting ready. They're getting ready.
We do continue previewing the finals as we lead off, and of course the conversation has been centered around number 11 for the Dallas Mavericks, Kyrie Irving, and he was the focal point for some of the off-day press conferences for the Boston Celtics. Jason Tatum revealing that he still talks to Kyrie Irving, and he's talked to him throughout the season. But, guys, we kind of talked about this last week and the impact that Kyrie could have, not just on the fans, but the Boston Celtics.
Yeah, like we were talking about last week, the Celtics fans, they just need to not worry about 11 and worry about 18. You know, if getting in some people's heads sometimes isn't the best thing to do. You know, that's when they can go off, and that's the last thing we need Kyrie Irving to do, especially in the Garden, like I keep saying. Mm-hmm. He's not winning at the Garden, but besides that, play ball.
I mean, that's going to be the greatest revenge, to go ahead and have the Celtics win against Kyrie Irving. To me, if that happens, then everything that's happened over the past 4 or 5 years, that's finally out the window.
Absolutely. It's pretty bad that you worry about one player, and you should just, like you said, worry about banner 18.
Mm-hmm. He's not even the biggest star on the team.
You know,
he's a superstar.
He is. Yeah, he's one of the most consistent players in the NBA as far as playing the game. But besides that, he's not going to score the 80 points. Just guard him, guard the other guy, and you win a championship. That's the meat of their team anyway.
4 more games.
So Derrick White did talk about guarding Kyrie and Luka, saying that they're two completely different players, but some of the best guards in the NBA, so it's going to be a challenge. Talking about Luka, it's the size and the physicality, and Kyrie, it's his creativity. White added that's definitely a challenge, and it's going to be a lot of different guys going at them and a lot of different matchups, and you just got to take the challenge. And to me, I think one of the X factors of this NBA Finals is going to be Derrick White, because he didn't perform very well as far as scoring goes in the Eastern Conference Finals, but it's his defense. You think about that turnover, that key turnover in Game 4 where he dashed away to the basket, that kind of started the downfall for the Pacers. But defensively, Derrick White could be the difference maker in the finals against the Mavericks.
Absolutely. And then you get Holiday as well. They get those weapons that I don't think the Dallas Mavericks are paying attention to. Because like you said, White did not shoot that good in that conference final. But his defense came out when we needed it to come out. And I think he's just going to get better to step up. We're going to see who steps up. But I think White will be fine.
In my opinion, it's going to be White or it's going to be Jrue Holiday, like you just said. They had some big plays in crunch time in that last series in the Eastern Conference Final. So hopefully we can get at least 2 of those games showing up again at the very end.
Yep.
And Luka's not going to be the one making the faces with the last-second shot over whoever he's defending, like he did Goldberg.
All they got to do is guard the guy. If you watch the way he plays, all those great shots, no one's covering the player. Mm-hmm. That's terrible, and the Boston Celtics won't do that.
So you think about against Minnesota, what the Timberwolves are throwing at the Dallas Mavericks, and unfortunately 2 of their focal pieces are Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert, 2 players that I don't think speed-wise can keep up with Luka Dončić nor Kyrie Irving. So for the Celtics, it may just come down to being as simple as man defense. You can't play zone against the Dallas Mavericks. You need to always have someone on Irving, on Dončić, because if you don't, they're going to go off for 75, 80 points. And to me, it looks like Luka Dončić is growing more confident in himself as the postseason goes on. I mean, he was Western Conference Finals MVP, but his shot selection has gotten better. I think he averaged around 31 in the Western Conference Finals. So this shows that Dončić can come out and play in the big moments, which is something the Celtics have to be prepared for.
Oh, yeah. No, it is. And, I mean, luckily, you can say the Mavs have 2 players that could easily put up 30 points a game. Luckily, we have 6 that can put up at least 20, in my eyes. Maybe even 7 if Porzingis comes back. So it's all about just playing that, like you just said, playing man defense. You have to versus them.
You can't play zone against a team like that.
And I mean, even their bench, I forget his name, the kid that just got back, he's a good shooter too.
Yeah.
So let's look at the Celtics-Mavericks series so far, the regular season series. The first game, well, I should say one of the games here, the Celtics winning 119-110. Jaylen Brown going off for 34, but Jason Tatum with a game-high 39 points to go along with 11 boards. And then in Game 2, it was the Celtics winning 138-110. Quickly looking here, Dončić with a Game high 37 points. Kyrie Irving had 19. PJ Washington had 17. And one thing interesting about that first game I talked about is Kristaps Porzingis wasn't in that game. And Porzingis is going to be an interesting storyline when we get to game one because it looks like he's going to play. But the question here is how many minutes can Kristaps Porzingis play and perhaps help the Celtics?
Not many. He's out of shape. I know. Practice shape is totally different from game shape because now the emotions are riding. What can I do without messing it up and not hurt the team and be that, make it look like you're playing 4 instead of 5 on the court?
I mean, practice doesn't mean anything, too, when it comes to physicality and all that. It's the finals. It's going to get physical.
I mean, it's going to be based off his repeatability to help his team out, consistency with the boards, offense and defense, and then he can take the three. He's probably one of the best 3 big guys that can take the 3-point long shot when he has to, at the arc. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. But again, I just want to see how his body English, like within the first couple of minutes, how his body English comes across with the rest of the guys and during the game. Hopefully he won't be as sore and stick out like, it looks like we're playing 5-on-4 instead of 5-on-5.
And ankle and all
yeah,
that.
exactly.
Stand up tall and play ball,
So you talked about Porzingis' offensive ability. To me, it comes down to defensive. You have to prevent players like a Derrick Lively or a Gafford going off and getting those key offensive rebounds. To me, for the Celtics to win this series, you can't allow Dončić and Irving to get those second chance opportunities. You have to win the battle of the boards, especially on the offensive side of the ball. You can't allow Dončić to take a 3, have it rebounded by someone like a Gafford, kick it back out to Dončić, find Washington on the wing, because Washington wing threes have been crucial for the Mavericks' success here, and especially when this thing shifts back to Dallas. I mean, P.J. Washington could be an X factor for the Dallas Mavericks.
Oh, for sure. He could.
Yeah, he could be, but I think that's when the man defense sets in. Like, no one can play zone against this team. This is a very good shooting team, and John mentioned some of the stats. I think the first game, Dončić shot 33 points or something like that, right?
Yep, 33 points and 18 boards, 13 assists, so a triple-double for 77.
And that's not bad for a tall white guy. I mean, I'm just kidding, being funny, but you have to guard the guy. You cannot give him an open look, plain and simple. Or Irving. The good thing about the Celtics is they played with Irving and tapes don't lie. You look at the tapes, his body English gives away the way he passes the ball. And if you can play off that in a man, because they're going to do picks, there's going to be a lot of moving picks, a lot of cutters coming in, the wing will cut in last minute, or they'll try to, like John said before, they might try to dish it off to the wing, drive baseline. And I just get this strange feeling. I'm looking over your shoulder here, John. I'm looking at these stats, and I'm saying I'm not worried. Porzingis is going to be a plus.
Oh, big time. One thing I see when I see these stats is something that I'm not going to take into consideration because look at the Bruins. We swept Toronto and the Panthers during the regular season.
Yeah.
Didn't mean anything, I know it's a different sport, but still, it's the finals. Right. It's do or die right now. Everything's on the line.
Whole new season.
Yes, sir.
So Jason Tatum, we talked about this on the radio show, Dom. 11 double-doubles this postseason. It could be points, rebounds, points, assists, but still, Jason Tatum, 11 double-doubles. Last year had 15. What kind of role do you see Jason Tatum having in this NBA Finals?
I can see him doing exactly what he did last time they met. I can see him going easy double-doubles. I think if he is not transparent, but he's the type of player when he's going to hit the 30, he has no problem dishing it off. And I think that's going to be his strength in the playoffs. Just when they try to tag team him and double team him, I almost made a wrestling cliche, try to box him in, he's going to be able to dish the ball off, no problem. He's too much of a great athlete.
The one thing I want to see him do is get at least, I think it's 94 or 95 points in the finals because he will be the number 1 player under 26 with playoff points. I'm saying the stat wrong, but he's 94 points behind
Still
LeBron
James.
James.
My friend.
Yeah, and he just passed Kobe in the last round, I believe.
And quickly here, John Tomasi wrote an article for NBC Sports Boston. Michael Jordan didn't win his first championship until year 7 of his career, and LeBron, Steph, and Kevin Durant didn't win one until their age 27 season or older. So for Jason Tatum, this is a big proving moment. And we'll talk more about the NBA Finals coming up here as we will play some over-unders. But coming up next, I'll talk to a Celtics reporter as the team continues to practice for Game 1 coming up Thursday night. Joining me right now is Noah Dalzell. She covers the Celtics for SB Nation, and you can also watch her on CLNS Media and the Garden Report with Bobby Manning. Noah, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
So you're getting ready for Celtics media availability ahead of the NBA Finals, and I've heard you on other podcasts talk about the long layoff and the Celtics being pros at this, but 10 days off is a long time. How have the C's approached this long layoff in terms of a practice schedule and really ramping things up?
Yeah, it's a long time. I think there's no way around it. And the good thing is, yes, they're kind of seasoned at this because this is the fourth time now that they've had a break from the regular season and in between each round of the playoffs. So it's not like this is unusual. But yeah, this is the longest one. Dallas is not too different of a position. I think they've been off for a while as well. But I can just say I'm not in the practices. We see just the last, 20 minutes of them kind of shooting around. But this practice was supposed to start at 11. I've been at the Auerbach Center since 10, and they've been practicing since 10. It sounds really intense. It always sounds really intense. I know that Joe talked about in practice this week that they're doing more film. They're kind of throwing all kinds of things at them, keeping them sharp, keeping them competitive, making sure that you're not just like staying in physical shape, but that you're also keeping like other things alive as well. And I don't really have proof for this, but I have a feeling that Joe Mazzulla is really good at doing that, just from what we do know about him. So I'm not too concerned about it. I think they've been good this year off rest. A lot of their players have taken extended portions of rest as well. It might be like the first quarter is a little bit weird, but I don't foresee this having like a major impact on the season, on the series.
So we know about Luka, Kyrie, JT, Jaylen Brown. Is there an X factor for both the Mavericks and the Celtics that you say, okay, if player X goes off and plays out of his mind in the series, then this team is going to win the championship?
Yeah, I would say the X factor for the Celtics is Drew Holiday. And that's because Drew Holiday, the way that he played offensively versus Indiana, it was his best 4-game stretch of any 4 games in the season. That to me goes such a long way towards just making this team so much more dangerous because you have to have someone needs to guard JT, someone needs to guard JB, and then you need to have someone on Derrick White who's been, a borderline all-star all year. It sounds like Porzingis is ready to come back for game 1, and so a lot of times the weakest defender ends up going on Drew, and Drew was an all-star last season, right? And so if he's able to play like an all-star, it makes the Celtics so hard to beat, and he just came up huge versus Indiana. And then for the Mavericks, I would probably say Kyrie's the X factor, even though he is one of the 2 stars. You've just seen him be the best player on the court at his best. And if that's the kind of Kyrie performance that he's putting together right now for the finals, it's going to be really hard to beat Dallas. Whereas we've also seen him struggle. And so which version of him you're going to get, I think that's kind of a big question.
And you're with the team every day. I see the videos you post on Twitter, especially at the TD Garden. But it seems like Joe Mazzulla and Jaylen Brown are a couple of people, in my mind at least, that have grown in terms of basketball mindset. As someone who is with them in the press conferences, watches the games with them, and how they interact with each other on the bench, have you noticed that growth with Jaylen Brown and Joe Mazzulla? Because it almost feels like the game has almost slowed down for them a little bit as this postseason has gone on.
Yeah, I think there are 2 people that have both grown quite a bit individually, and we see parts of it. We see kind of what they share with us, but we don't see everything. And I always like to remind people that because I think as someone who's I'm with the team all the time, but I only see a snippet of what there is to see. Jaylen Brown to me has just emerged as a leader for this Celtics team. He takes ownership after bad games. He's the one that's most visibly frustrated after bad games. He says things like they are. He doesn't sugarcoat things. I think that's his style as well. So off the court, that's the voice that he's kind of picked up. And I think some of it is the things that Marcus Smart used to call people out. He kind of, he's picked up on some of that. And then on the court, I mean, he had the best season of his career in so many ways. Defensively, as a playmaker, as far as taking care of the ball. I guess free throws is the one area where it wasn't the best season of his career, but he was so efficient. And so I think people underrated it and just didn't pay attention to it that much because he had that really bad Eastern Conference Finals last year. So this to me was a big bounce back year for him. This entire playoff run, he has been just incredible. Like I don't think he's getting enough credit nationwide around like how good he's been. And then I was really glad to see him get the conference finals MVP because it made people have to pause and be like, oh, wait, like, what has he been doing this postseason? And then Joe Mazzulla, I think people just looked at last year as, he was this young guy, he was put in a tough position. And the reality is that he didn't even have his own assistant coaching staff. He didn't have a heads up that he was going to be the coach. He didn't have a summer like every other coach spends months preparing for the regular season. And he didn't have any of that. And he also was a first time head coach. So it was like doubly important that he had that opportunity. I think what we're seeing right now is just a guy who had the offseason and time and a year under his belt. And there's a reason why he was selected to be the head coach of the Boston Celtics at age 34. Like he clearly has something very unique about him that Brad Stevens in the front office saw. I think we're seeing more of that now.
And outside noise, I think teams in the past, Marcus Smart especially, you listen to the JT debate going on, the Celtics having an easy path to the NBA Finals. I use quotes there. And the Kyrie situation. There's a lot of things that could derail this team, in terms of press conferences and 10 days off. You could go ahead and say the wrong thing. But this Celtics team has been pretty even keeled, put their head down, go to work. Is this something you've noticed as well with the team throughout the season?
Yeah, they don't often say the wrong thing. And I think that's some of the frustration with the Celtics, honestly. Like, I think the national media doesn't love them because they're kind of boring. Like, there hasn't really been controversy. Like, the players all say the right thing. They're not involved in any turmoil. They never yell at each other. Like, they never, like, Joe Mazzulla will never call anybody out. Everybody wants him to call people out when they don't play well. Like, he won't do that. He always just praises them. So, yeah, I think they've just learned how to stay out of trouble kind of, and in turn people view that as like soft, or it doesn't give them what they want like a flashier storyline. And I think you're seeing that all the time. But yeah, just being here day to day, it's kind of remarkable how much, just from like a media perspective, like how much patience they have. Because I never knew like how, like I used to watch press conferences, but I didn't realize like they get the same questions every single day. Like if a guy's in a shooting slump, he gets asked about it every single day for 2 weeks. And I played basketball. If someone asked me, well, why aren't your shots falling? Like on the second time they asked, I'd be like, what are you doing? Like, I don't know. But they have the patience to do it. They're very patient in PR trained and everything. And that's just kind of been their even keel nature throughout this year, is to not ever like lose sight of the bigger picture and kind of what their game plan is, even when it comes to like going to the podium.
Almost like the modern day San Antonio Spurs. Nothing was wrong with Greg Popovich during those dynasty days. So I mentioned you do cover the Celtics for SB Nation. You also are on CLNS Media with Bobby Manning and the Garden Report, but you have a YouTube show actually debuting the day we're recording this. Can you tell people about the YouTube program you got coming out?
Yeah, so this is kind of on a whim. So that's why I had trouble with audio when we first joined, because I'm figuring out my mic that I did not figure out for this call. But yeah, basically the idea is to give people a opportunity to get all their questions answered on Celtics things, because I get DMs like all day about things that happen in practice, pressers, my perspective on things. And I know there's a million podcasts out there, so my plan was to eventually start one, but not just yet. So this is going to be, I'm just going to go live from everywhere that I am, whether it's in Dallas at practice, shoot around games, whatever, and just answer people's questions, share a little update on what we just saw. I literally started this YouTube channel yesterday, so there's a good chance that in 3 hours when I go live, there's going to be nobody on, but that's okay. So yeah, check it out. It's the same as my Twitter handle at NoahDalzellNBA.
And quickly, this is your first year covering the Boston Celtics, and we talked about this before we hit record. This has been an insane year. If this is your first year, is there a moment throughout the season that you took a second and said, holy crap, I'm covering this team that's on a finals run and could be making a historic run?
Yeah, there have been a lot of those moments, honestly, because I followed the Celtics my whole life. And so even just the first day that I was like walking by the court, I was like, I can't believe like I didn't have to pay to be here. Like, this is like I get paid to be here. That was crazy. But there was a moment where like they were just historically dominant. Like you would just look at the plus minus, and it was after a couple of losses that they bounced back 110 in a row, and all of a sudden they were in conversations of like one of the greatest regular season teams of all time. And I thought to myself, like, this is kind of wild that I just started this, and this is where they're at right now. And always thought they were going to go to the finals. I always thought the finals was going to be a toss-up just because that's how the finals go. But actually being here right now and knowing like I've been following the Celtics since 09, missed the boat in 08, big regret. But so this is like only the second time I've ever seen them go to the finals, and being able to be here and all that, it's just been it's been incredible.
Welcome back, John, Dom, Brad. We're here to talk about over-unders for the NBA Finals. We'll start off with Jason Tatum, and these aren't any like sportsbook numbers here. I just pulled these out of the sky. First up here, Jason Tatum, 26.5 points for the NBA Finals per game.
Over.
Definitely over. Definitely over.
Go
That's
over.
a generous number. He's definitely going to shoot over that.
Well, looking at the previous 3 postseasons here, you go back to the first round of this year's postseason, Tatum averaged just under 22 a game. Conference Finals last year averaged 25. He has had these up and down tendencies. I'm going to go a little bit under, and it's not to say that he's not going to perform, but I think the Celtics are going to go ahead and come up with different ways for him to perform, be it take a double team, kick the ball out, get those assist numbers up, or fight for the rebounds in the post. I don't know if he'll get to those crazy high numbers, 30, 35 a game, but Jason Tatum, if he hits 27, 28 a game to go along with 8 or 9 dimes, I think that could be more important than that points per game total going high.
It definitely would be, but I think Jason Tatum's going to put it all on the floor. He's been here before. I mean, for some reason, people don't like him, and I don't get it. He's a great basketball player, and he's a great father too.
Yeah.
He wants it. He wants it the most on that team. I feel
think
like.
so
I
too.
really
That's
do.
what I think he's gonna come out. I mean, he's had all these times in the finals. This is your chance right here, baby. You get the team.
You don't know how many more times you get back here, too,
Exactly.
no matter how stacked we are.
I mean,
too.
we
You
said that
never
before
know.
so many years when they were in the final. But you get the team they have together is probably one of the best teams within the last 5 years to be in the finals, I think.
And you think financially, you don't know about Derrick White, how he's going to look in the future as far as extensions goes. You do have Holiday, Brown, Tatum's going to sign his Supermax. Porzingis is going to be around for another year or two. But I feel like Tatum's going to be that guy that has to swallow that pill as far as not going out there getting those high numbers. Could one of those players that benefit from it be Jaylen Brown? I have him projected or out there as an over-under at 24.5 per game.
Jaylen Brown?
Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown, who we talked on the radio show, had how many games with 3+ turnovers? 7 games with 3+ turnovers this postseason.
I wish we had his last year's stats in there. I can see him definitely going over 24 points.
So last year for Jaylen Brown, I actually just looked. I missed it. Conference Finals, he had 19 per game. Semifinals, he had just under 23 per game. And then the 23 first round, he averaged just under 27 a game.
I'm going to do under for Brown. I really am sticking to my Jason Tatum's going to be the better player, Hill, for the finals. I am.
I just think they're both going to stick.
They're both. They hopefully both are going to do great,
Yeah.
but I do want to say Jason Tatum's going to be the one that shows up more.
Well, don't forget, Jason Tatum wasn't happy that Jaylen Brown won the Conference Finals MVP.
That's
If you
allegedly,
watch
all right,
ESPN.
allegedly.
That's so blown out of proportion.
He's
It's getting old.
smiling. He's yelling.
Those guys need to go on our Days of Our Lives or something. So
I
crazy.
mean, what did ESPN and Get Up want Jason Tatum to do? Start doing cartwheels on the floor that
Right.
Jaylen Brown won?
So
I have Brown going just over 24.5 per game. If he can get that three-point shot falling early and start to feel a little more confident, that could be huge. And I think he could be destined for a 35, 40-point game. And maybe he is the guy lucky enough to get some of those Jason Tatum assists that I talked about earlier. And maybe he's the guy that racks up the points. Next up here, we have Kristaps Porzingis. I have him averaging 17.5 minutes per game. Obviously coming off of, 6 weeks without playing a playoff moment here?
I'd give him under. Definitely give him under. Especially with the pressure and the stage you're on. Definitely give him under. Again, we talked this before about how he's practice ready, but you're in the biggest game of your career. This is it. You're in the finals. Someone's going home with a gold trophy. So I think he'll be under just to see how his wind is.
So I think game one, he's not going to have that much time, but it's the finals, and I think he's going to realize, hey, I am made out of glass, but I'll go break every bone I need to win this.
Right.
And I'm actually going to go over, and I'm going to hope I'm right there the most out of any of these.
As long as he's
because we
producing,
need
I
him.
hope you're right too.
I have him going over as well. I I feel like to start out with, you'd probably go 20, 24 minutes, something like that, because then that gives you, 5-6 minutes for each quarter, something like that. And that's good for Kristaps Porzingis. And you have to hope that maybe the Celtics go off and are ahead by 25, 30 points in some of these game situations here, that you can go ahead and buy some breaks for Kristaps Porzingis. But
throw an L.
I agree with what you said. As far as all you have to do, and I said this last week, for Kristaps Porzingis, is be healthy for another 7 games. You don't have to be healthy for another 4 or 5 series here, but for the NBA championship, you just need 7 games.
Put it all in the
And it's not, overstraining yourself to play 20, 25 minutes, because you have players like Al Horford or even an O'Shea Brissett that you can have in a break class in case of emergency situation. Now let's go to the Dallas Mavericks, because Luka Dončić, I have him at 26.5 per game. As I mentioned, this is the deepest Luka Dončić has played into a postseason. He didn't even play 1 minute of postseason basketball last year.
I'm going to go over. I will. I really do think he's going to be looking at most of his games in the 30 range. I do. Especially, we're going to try to lock down. We're going to try to lock down both of them, but Luka's, I do think, the better player than Kyrie. And I'm not trying to sound biased by this.
No, he is, for sure.
I do think he's going to go over.
Yeah, me too.
Especially if he,
do.
like Brown, if he gets hot on the threes, he's going to be over that for sure.
Right. I talked about how you got to man up on the guy and go play man defense against him. He still finds a way to put the basket in the cylinder. So I can definitely see him going over that number.
Yeah, I have Dončić. I'm going to go just over. It's difficult for me to say that, because in the NBA, you think about those last 2 games I talked about during the regular season, where he went off for 33 points and then 37 points. Those are regular season games. Players like Jrue Holiday know how to batten down the hatches in the big moments here. So you're going to have to take Dončić to half court, and maybe even a rotation with Jaylen Brown, Jrue Holiday, and Derrick White. Derrick White mentioned that he likes the challenge of facing some of these top guys. And I don't know if Luka's going to go off, but I think he'll get just over 26.5 per game. In the conference finals, last week, he averaged 32 a game, and that was in 4 games.
Right.
But still, Luka Dončić just had the capability and the firepower to go off. And finally here, for over-under, Kyrie Irving, 28.5 per game. He's obviously public enemy number 1 in Celtics fans' minds, but will he use that as fuel?
I think he's going to go under. I think the Celtics going to. You can't guard both of them the way you want to guard them, even if you go man. So I think they're going to focus on him for certain reasons, maybe personal reasons or whatever. I definitely think he's going to go under.
I'm going to go under too there, for sure. He's going to have a 40-point game. Any of the 4 players we just talked about could have a 50-point game. They've all done it before in the playoffs, but I don't know if Luka has. I know Brown and Tatum has. I believe Brown has. I know Tatum got to 51 one time.
Well, Luka outscored the Timberwolves in Game 4 by a point in the first quarter, I think it was. So Luka can go off. The question is, can Kyrie go off?
Yeah.
And I'm going to go with over 28.5 per game for Kyrie Irving. Now, simply put, he just has to get 30 points a game, and that would be the over, obviously. But I feel like his shot profile could be something that helps the Mavericks out. If the Mavericks play outside, will he go ahead and try and leak inside the 3-point line for some of those easy 2s that the Celtics maybe are falling asleep at the wheel, which they do have a tendency to do. But I think Kyrie Irving's going to go just over 28.5 per game. And it should be an interesting NBA Finals coming up. Game 1 on Thursday, Game 2 on Sunday. So, we still have some time between games for the NBA Finals. So that'll do it for the regular edition of On the Sidelines. But we do have a few show notes here. A big note here, we're actually taking this show on the road coming up on June 10th. We'll be at Barrett's Ale House on Route 18. We'll be promoting the great work they've done with the 4th of July committee, as can't believe we're already a month away from the 4th of July.
Crazy.
And then 1 week later, we'll be going to Brockton at Campanelli Stadium promoting the New England Knockouts, the new Frontier League baseball team. But we have On the Sidelines overtime coming up. We'll talk about the New England Patriots going to VR, and we'll even play a game called List This coming up next. Back here on the show as we continue previewing the finals between the Celtics and Mavs, and we've previewed this series enough, so let's go ahead and pick who has the advantage in certain areas here. And the first thing we'll start off with is the top two players on each team. So for the Mavericks, you obviously have Luka and Kyrie. For the Celtics, you have JT and JB.
I think the Celtics are all the way. I think Irving, when it's going to come down to it, I think he's going to choke. I don't think he's going to be able to keep up with with Brown and Tatum. And Luke is going to be the one carrying the weight for that team if they compete at all, as far as head-to-head, our two guys against his two guys.
I mean, I definitely agree. And together, the Celtics should be better. But if we're going to break it down, best player, I'd say Luka might outpower Tatum just because of his size. And then Brown will probably be better than Kyrie because, I mean, just when Kyrie was here, Brown showed up a lot more than Kyrie did.
Right.
And like you said, hopefully he does choke because that's what we need. You know, we need a new ring. So since 2008, our first episode, you had that banner that covered you, you know, the XL one there. We need a new one.
If the Celtics win, I think I should get like a bonus banner. But I'd have to go with the Dallas Mavericks here as far as the top two players go. Because Luka creates those opportunities. Jason Tatum, it takes a little while for him to get going. You think about the Eastern Conference Finals, he struggled so much to get going. It took him until, in some cases, the third quarter. Jaylen Brown, he's proven to be a little more steadier, but Luka Dončić has done a great job creating his own offense. And Kyrie Irving, again, I think if he goes out there with not so much to prove trying to, shut the fans up, I think he'll kind of find his groove. So to me, I think Luka Dončić plays the Jaylen Brown role better than Jaylen Brown. I think Kyrie Irving maybe plays a little better than Jason Tatum. We'll get to the series prediction in a little bit, but I'll go Luka Kyrie here. I am the Celtics fan. But coaching, you have Jason Kidd, a former NBA champion himself, Joe Mazzulla in year number 2. Where do you go for that advantage?
Jason Kidd, for sure. For sure, the experience is there. Just like you just said, he won with Dallas too, wasn't it?
2011.
Yeah, he's got a lot more experience under his belt. I mean, like we've talked about, Joe Mazzulla, he's a good coach, but he's more of a friend, it seems, and he's even said that. He's even been out there saying, "I'm just here to keep the guys together."
Yeah, I can see that too. I like Jason Kidd as well.
Yeah.
He reminds me of the Boston Celtics guy. Reminds me of a. I'm trying to say it with a straight face. Too late now. of a Boy
Way to
Scout.
show those cards.
Of a Boy Scout leader. You know what I'm saying? He's just trying to make sure the kids will play right, play nice, and play into the system, and no disrespect them. I just think Jason Kidd's more well-rounded in that position.
Yeah, I'll go Jason Kidd as well. I think when you talk about coaching staffs, the Celtics could have the advantage. But when it comes to head coaching, I would go Jason Kidd just from the familiarity as a player. He wasn't just a champion in 2011. He did appear in the finals against the Lakers back in that Laker dynasty day. But Joe Mazzulla, I think, still has a little more to prove as far as that basketball IQ, kind of the right way to channel everything. But I think it's Jason Kidd by just a little bit as far as head coaching goes. Now let's talk about the bench. The Celtics do have a pretty talented bench. We kind of added up the bench points from those 2 Celtics-Mavericks meetings, but where do we go for the bench advantage?
If you take Pritchard out of the Red Sox, there we go. Celtics.
Basketball. That's the thing with the orange ball.
Yeah. If you take Pritchard out, I would go with the Mavericks. But Pritchard is so hot.
Right.
And I like the way I like him, Hauser. I just like those group of guys. I know it doesn't show it with the numbers, but I just think they're a lot more well-rounded when push comes to shove.
I agree with you on the Celtics too, and I mean, Al Horford's considered a bench player too sometimes, isn't he? When Porzingis is in, if he starts, I know he's not going to get as many minutes, but one of those two guys will be considered the bench, and they're both going to go off. And like you said, Pritchard goes off. Hauser shows up, and then even that dude, what was his name, Brissett? He had some good plays.
Shea Brissett?
One of those games, I forget. I think it might have been the Pacers series. He showed up.
Yeah, game 2, he was crashing the boards, almost separated Jaylen Brown's shoulder.
Oh yeah.
I give the bench advantage to the Boston Celtics. You think about role players like a Hauser or Pritchard. I'll even throw Cornette in there as well. But I think when you talk about depth pieces, you talked about that X factor for the bench pieces, Al Horford. I mean, if Al Horford is your 6th man on this team, you're doing great. Look at the Mavericks bench right now. I mean, you have players like Hardaway Jr., Kleber, that bench isn't as deep. Dwight Powell as well. I think when you get into those later stages of the first quarter, middle of the fourth quarter, that could be the moment where you see the Celtics start to really take off, especially if you have a Hauser and a Pritchard sinking those threes. Now, Sam Hauser, it was really ugly for him in that conference finals. He was trying to find his shot, force his shot, but it's a new series. Hopefully, now that you're starting at the TD Garden with a fresh script, hopefully Sam Hauser comes out and proves himself to be maybe that missing link between the Celtics and Banner 18 as far as just getting through this series. And finally here, series prediction. I think we all have our favorites here on who's going to win the NBA Finals.
I'm thinking Celtics in 6. I hope it's Celtics in 6. I don't want to see 7 in basketball. In hockey, even if the Bruins were in there, I love Game 7 in hockey. But basketball, if our guys are in there, let's get it done quick.
I like 5, to tell you the truth. I really think this is a real talented team.
I mean, every series has been 5 or less, so I can see that. But it is Luka and Kyrie. That's why I'm saying 6.
Yeah, I'm going to go Celtics in 6 as well. I think they'll split the first 2 games in the TD Garden.
Don't say that.
Well, the NBA needs its drama. Wasn't there that campaign where everything's scripted, oddly enough? I feel like once they get to Game 4, the Boston Celtics are going to find a way to kind of step on the pedal and, take this thing all the way. And interestingly enough, you think about players like Dončić, he didn't make the playoffs last year. This is the deepest playoff run Luka Dončić has had in his NBA career. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, they were obviously in the finals 2 years ago. Al Horford as well, Derrick White. But Dončić has never been to the NBA Finals. Kyrie Irving hasn't been to the finals, I think, since 2016, where he hit that big shot against the Warriors. So I think experience in the NBA Finals, especially as the series goes on, you have to learn how to weather those days off, because if there's 2 or 3 days off between each game, that could be interesting, and that could be where that coaching comes into play.
I don't like the 2 to 3. Just have it be 2, because I even saw the schedule for the Stanley Cup, and it's 2-3, 2-3. It's like, come on, just do the 2-2s.
It could help for Porzingis and Horford. I mean, giving them that time off.
I just think this is a better shooting team going to the finals and past Celtics.
I mean, how many Eastern Conference Finals have we gone to recently? We are more experienced on longer runs, for sure.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, there's so much talent on this team. I can't see it. I mean, unless what I always call it a CYO game, when they shoot crazy and nothing's hitting. It's going to happen, but I can't see it happen in the 6 games. I can see them getting the groove together and just, once they're gelling, I mean, the only thing stopping them, and I'm not a religious guy, is the man upstairs.
And themselves.
Exactly. That's where that CYO metaphor comes in, or whatever you want to call it. You know what I mean? Mentioning the CYO league where they just shoot the ball and no one follows their shots and let's go play defense. And then Dončić looks like a hero. He's taking the long shots because nobody's guarding him, and now he hits 30. But as long as they guard him again, there's too much talent on the Celtics team.
We talked enough basketball here. There's other sports going on. Let's start off with the New England Patriots, as Drake May came out, has been using some virtual reality. We talked about this on a radio show, and Gerard Mayo talked about this, saying, I think the virtual stuff is great, and that's another way that you can steal some of those reps without being on the football field. We're absolutely interested in that type of technology. We have rooms in the building that have some of that technology, but obviously technology changes every single day. Albert Breer has said that footwork has been something that the team has been working on, because he didn't really have much footwork to, go with in the OTAs, and that he has been splitting some of the first team reps with Bailey Zappi, that Jacoby Brissett hasn't been in. But, I mean, Drake May, this is going to definitely be a 2 or 3 year project.
Oh, yeah. I mean, especially the footwork. That's the biggest thing. But, I mean, this VR stuff, bring that home. If you're going to do that, bring that home. Go out on the field, outside, get the sun on you, have it. I mean, it beams in football season out there. There's no trees, there's no shade. Get out there and get ready for a big boy coming at you. You know, 6 foot, 300-pound guy. I know it's not tackling, but I mean, technology's cool. Like Gerard Mayo said, it changes every day. But with football, I think you keep the VR at home. If you want to play with that, do that at home. And he is definitely a project, but I mean, it took Josh Allen 2-3 years to really set off. So everyone said he could be the next Josh Allen. Hopefully he's around that caliber because that's a great quarterback. I know that's the Buffalo Bills, but he's a great quarterback.
Yeah, he is. Who knew that Kurt Schilling's video game was going to take off again?
Yeah. That's awesome.
Right? You have this. Again, like you said, we talked about, and you heard on the radio. This is the dumbest thing I ever heard in my life. I'm just come out and say this is stupid. I mean, you can set it up to have the guy look at a dime defense and maybe put some pads under his feet so he can get the feet working. Throw a nickel at him, throw a blitz at him. But the reality is reality. If you have a 6'1", 310-pound lineman, solid muscle coming at you, that's reality. I know they're all red shirted, and you're trying to watch out for your quarterback. But there's nothing beats the actual scenario of being in a practice or an organized scrimmage.
Oh, 100%, 100%. And like I said, bring it home. If you're going to use the VR, bring it home.
Well, I think Kyler Murray, didn't he have video games that was part of his contract? It was that an actual video game.
Fortnite and Call of Duty.
I compared it, and I should be one to speak, but I compared it to the episode of Big Bang Theory with Sheldon Cooper learning how to drive, and he ended up on the second floor of the mini mall because he was using virtual reality. And to me, that's this type of thing. It's one thing to go ahead and use virtual reality to read how a defense is going to come at you.
Right.
So maybe that's where it's being used, trying to read a 3-4 or 4-3 defense, try and read some of the blitz patterns, which that could help with virtual reality. But you're not going to mimic a 300-pound linebacker, like you said, coming at you that's trying to play to feed his family.
Right.
You can't replicate that. You can't replicate weather conditions, how fast your wide receivers are going, what type of secondary they have on the other side.
Getting hit in the blind side either, right?
The chemistry with your wide receivers, too. I didn't even think of it like that. I just want to know what Bill Belichick thought when he heard that, how hard he chuckled, honestly.
Right, through the other notepad when he used to have the notepads on the sideline.
Yeah.
Bill probably said, thank God I'm out of here. The other thing that came out for the Patriots is ESPN Football Power Index released its first rankings as far as their NFL teams and where they rank, as far as projections with the schedule, how tough it's going to be. The Patriots are ranked number 31, only ahead of the Carolina Panthers. You think about how the mighty have fallen, but this is a big red flag for the New England Patriots, who you think 4 or 5 years ago, granted different quarterback, different coach, were in the Super Bowl conversations. Now you're rivaling the Denver Broncos and the Carolina Panthers.
I mean, all good things must come to an end. And I mean, good for Mac Jones. I didn't like him. I never did. First year, he brought us to the playoffs. The Cam Newton experience was a failure. It's going to take a little bit to rebuild. And I mean, when I heard 31st, when I saw the power rankings, I was like, really, that low? But I guess now it's to play for the first round pick again versus Carolina, which we almost got last year, but the second. No, yeah.
Third.
Yeah. We got third, but we were close. We were close, yes.
Unproven team, that's all they are. They're just an unproven team, new coach. You're thinking you have your quarterback, you're trying to break another kid in with this video game to get him ready to play, and you don't have an offensive line.
I have a feeling our defense is going to win us more games than our offense. If they're healthy, if we get Christian Gonzalez back, Matt Judon back. I mean, we had a lot of big players hurt last year. We had third, fourth line, cornerbacks in there and all that, Some guys prove that they can step up like Duggar and all that, but it's the offense. I'm very worried about this
I just want to know where I can pick up the new Kurt Schilling video game so I can practice my flag football second and fourth graders. I might want to need that.
I almost just slammed my head into this desk when you said the defense is going to win them games like last year. Those were the most painful games I've ever seen from the Patriots in my life. I feel like I should get season tickets just for watching every single second of every single game.
But some games the defense did win us it. They got us more points than the offense, which was crazy.
That's because the offense was completely inept, and now you have a quarterback that's using virtual reality. His footwork looks like Fred Flintstone, apparently. So, I mean, get ready for the number 1 pick and look out bottom. Here we come. I mean, this is another disaster waiting to happen for the Patriots. And if I'm Gerard Mayo, I'm hoping, I signed a 6 or 7 year deal where the money's good, because I don't know how Gerard Mayo gets out of this situation and gets himself to be a viable playoff caliber coach.
I mean, he at least gets 3 years, I'd say, in New England. It depends on if the Kraft. I mean, we all heard rumors of Crafts might sell, but I doubt that's going to happen. And I don't. I mean,
Just sell to John Henry.
it is no. He can stick with his Liverpool and his Pittsburgh Penguins that he cares about more than these guys right here. You know, let the talent out the window, John. Let the talent out the window.
Oh boy.
We have much more coming up here. It's game time. We play List This coming up on the Sidelines Overtime. Welcome back. June 1st was National Game Show Day, and if you've watched the show, I do like my games. I like making these two, play the games, and whether it turns out good or not, that's you, the viewer, to decide.
Let me say, I'm glad I missed the spelling bee.
Oh,
that is not my strength, all right? That is not my
I
strength.
still wish I cheated. I mean,
I should have just been texting it to you.
I wish, you know what? About that.
Well, the thing is, he was actually using his phone during the show, and I called him out on it because he decided to go ahead and hit on a link that had a video attached to it during the show.
I heard that on the
that's how I
radio.
got
I
caught.
heard that.
That's how I got caught.
All right, so we are going to play a game. Let me go ahead and stop the phone here. We are going to go ahead and play a game called List This. And when I think about some of the top game shows, you have game shows like Jeopardy, Wheel of Fortune, Match Game, Press Your Luck, things like that. But there was a great sports show on ESPN called Stump the Schwab, led by Howie Schwab, who unfortunately passed away earlier this year. And one of the great things I loved about that show was kind of the contestants challenging as far as list goes for champions. Okay. So I have that. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to set my timer here for
timed.
No.
I'll give you the rules here. This is going to be a controlled train wreck. So what we'll do is I'll give you a minute to decide or to list off as many of a category as I have here, and we'll go back and forth. And I'll give you a number. So the first one we'll do is NBA champions since the year 2000. There have been 10 different teams that have won at least one championship. And what we'll do here is go back and forth, see who can name the most. So again, 10 teams that have won a championship in the NBA since the year 2000. So Brad, I'll start off with you. How many teams do you think you can name of those 10?
I'd say hopefully 6.
6, Dom, you want to one up?
I'm going to say 6 too.
All
I'm
right.
going to one up. I'm probably going to lose again.
All right, so Brad, I'll give you a minute to name 6 NBA champions since the year 2000. If you lose, Dom gets the point. All right, so we'll go ahead and start my imaginary clock here. And
there's no imagination there.
Go.
Lakers, Celtics, Golden State, Cavs, Spurs, Heat.
We're down to 45 seconds.
You got plenty of time.
You have 6, so you just need one more to get the point here.
I want to say Pelicans, but no.
I really hope I don't have some weird music at the end
No
of the
pressure.
buzzer here. Down to 30 seconds.
Yeah. Brooklyn hasn't, right?
No.
I don't think any New York team has.
You got Golden State, the Lakers. You had the Cavs, the Spurs, the Heat, the Celtics.
Who beat Allen Iverson?
Down to 10 seconds.
Dallas.
There you go.
2011.
2011 against Miami.
Good
So
job.
We just talked about that earlier, too.
Yeah, I'm glad you remembered. I don't remember.
all right, so Brad gets the first point here. We'll go ahead and reset the timer. Dom, we have Stanley Cup champions since the year 2000.
Why didn't you give this one to me?
Right. Stanley Cup champions.
13 teams have won a Stanley Cup since the year 2000.
13.
Some of them have won multiple.
I'm
So
supposed
how
to-
many do you think you can name out of the 13?
I'm going to make it easy. I'll say 4.
4?
Easily 5.
5?
Yeah.
All right.
Am I going first?
So you're going to go here.
So that's the time.
Like, I really need to start the timer.
Bruins, Blackhawks, Pittsburgh, the Blues, Washington, Ducks, Devils, Carolina,
Great job.
Avalanche, Vegas.
At this point, you might as well just go through the whole list. I think you've gotten 10.
Yeah, you got 10
Yeah,
already.
you're down to
3.
I said the Ducks. I said the Devils.
Yep.
I said Avalanche. 2001 was the Stars, I believe. No, that was That was that was Ray
2001
Bork.
was, yep, that
But
was the Ray Bork year.
2000 was 2000. Who I just said?
2000 was the Devils, yep.
Yeah. Well, no. What did I just say? Frick.
So you have Vegas, Colorado, St. Louis, Washington, Pittsburgh, Chicago, Boston, Anaheim,
LA Kings, 2014. New York Rangers.
I was going to say, the Rangers, yeah.
Rangers were 94. That was the last one.
94,
Oh,
yeah.
they made it, though.
Down to
you're
5
right.
seconds.
Yeah.
You already won.
Yeah, you already won. So I just want to see if you could run the gauntlet. But you didn't get Tampa Bay. You didn't get Detroit.
They won 3 times in a row. Jeez.
But, I mean, you got 11. That's
I
ridiculous.
didn't think about Tampa Bay.
I don't know how I didn't either.
What happened? What is
Check
what
the
it is.
tape. Did I say Detroit? Did I say Detroit?
You might have.
Because I remember that
This comes
too,
down.
all right?
This comes down to post
I
editing.
don't think
here.
I did, but
I mean, you did laps around Dome here. So MLB top 15 all-time home run leaders. You want to start us off here? How many do you think you can
MLB home run
name? Top
leaders?
15.
Top
all
15.
time.
I can name them all.
How many out of the 15 do you think you can name?
I'll make it easier on myself. I'll just say 4.
I feel like I'm dealing with the Access version of Charles Barkley. We have to keep explaining the rules over and over.
baseball is not my thing.
I'll just say 4. MLB leaders since 2000.
All-time
home run leaders?
All-time home run leaders.
Okay, so you have, I believe Babe Ruth was
Listen,
one.
Okay, he's
I'll
just gonna
say
go.
I'll say 3.
I'll just say
I'll say
Babe
3.
Ruth was one. Mark McGuire was probably one, right?
Yep.
Barry Bonds was probably one.
He is the all-time leader.
How,
Asterisks or not.
oh my God, his name. He used to play for the Yankees.
I probably should have started the time. You're down to about 30 seconds, we'll call it.
Yeah, I'll call it 30 seconds. Not DiMaggio.
Nope.
Oh, what's his? Oh my God, Ramirez.
Manny Ramirez, number 15. So, yep.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so Tom's back in the game here, 2-1. Now we have MLB teams to have never won a World Series. And there's only 5 teams all time that have never actually won a World Series. Of those 5, how many do you think you can name?
2.
I think I can name 4.
I don't even know if I can name 2.
All right,
You
so
might be taking
yeah,
the lead
we'll,
here.
Maybe.
we'll have you go
Let's
ahead.
see.
All right, so definitely you have the Expos, but you can't count them; they're out. Washington.
That would be Washington would be the Expos after they moved, so
Right.
they did win one, yes.
Yep, they did win one. So they didn't win. Cleveland Indians
No, Cleveland Indians won. These are teams who never won a World Series.
never won one.
Never won
never won one. We know Tampa did.
We filled off 20 seconds. Talk.
Miami Marlins did. I'm just going through the whole league. Oh my God, this is not going to be good. Pittsburgh Pirates, they won.
We're down to
San
30 seconds
Francisco.
on one team named.
San Diego, there's one, right? San
that's
Diego's
one.
one. We know the Dodgers won. Seattle's the other one.
2.
That's the only one I knew.
Let
Down
me
to
think.
17 seconds here.
Arizona won.
Arizona won one.
Oh my God.
Down to 10.
Cincinnati Reds won one. I know that. Flock. Astros. Oh yeah, they did win one. That's right.
And that's the timer.
Did I get
thank God.
3 out? I get 3 out of 4.
Yep.
3 out of
3 out of 4, so Brad gets the point.
You get the point.
All right, so last one here.
You know what's going to happen? I'm going to start thinking about all the other teams.
Did Arizona win one?
They did,
They did.
2001.
All right.
Yeah.
That was another one that I was
The only
thinking.
World Series was it the only World Series won
They
on
beat
a walk-off?
Cleveland.
Arizona beat the Yankees in 01.
Oh, one. Who? The Marlins beat Cleveland, right?
That was 97.
I know, but they still beat them.
I feel like this game's just gone on fire.
Oh my God!
Happy
You kidding
Game
me?
Show Day. All right, finally here, NFL teams that have never won a Super Bowl, there's 12 of them.
Ooh,
How many of those 12 do you think you can name?
7.
7?
I'm gonna say 4.
All right,
So
Brad.
if I do more, I feel like I accomplished.
So you already won the game here, but why don't you go ahead and name 7?
Jacksonville Jaguars,
Yep.
Tennessee Titans.
Yes.
No, they didn't. Houston Texans,
Yep. 3,
Arizona Cardinals.
4.
Yep. Since you won, can I help them?
I mean, there's really no rules to the game. You know,
Right.
Whatever.
Detroit Lions.
I said 4, so yeah.
Yeah,
Yep,
Detroit,
Detroit Lions, 5.
San Diego Chargers. Oh, not the LA now.
LA
the
Chargers.
LA Chargers,
Yep.
right?
I was just looking at the West Coast.
So you're up to 6.
Have the Washington Commanders
Yep.
on there?
Yeah,
They
they
have
when
one
they
more?
were the Redskins,
Yeah.
they won it. Yeah, when they were the Redskins.
Doug Williams, I think, was the quarterback.
Yep. The Jets, of course, won one with Namath.
Oh, Buffalo Bills.
There you go.
Buffalo
There's
Bills,
7.
yep. There you go.
All right, so the only ones you didn't get were Atlanta, Carolina, Cincinnati, and Minnesota.
28-3 really stings in Atlanta, huh?
Yeah, no kidding.
28-3, never won a Super Bowl. Oh, well. Well, thanks for watching this episode of On the
Yeah.
Sidelines and our debut of the first and only time probably we'll ever play this game.
That was good. I like that. That was fun.
That was good. I
Better than a
mean,
spelling bee.
yeah.
I just don't know how I didn't say Tampa Bay Lightning. I mean, 3 years in a row.
You're
Come
the
on.
hockey guy.
Come
You
on.
should know
I
these
know.
things.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Come on.
It happens.
All right.
Hey, at least the Panthers have never won a cup, right?
Right.
Yeah. Still have that series against the Oilers coming up.
Could be this
Joe.
year.
And we thank you for watching. We'll talk to you next week.